My dad texted me. We've all agreed. Stay out of the family now. I wrote back, understood. Then I pulled every dollar I had in the new office building project. 2 days later, my mom was crying. My brother was calling lawyers, and the developer messaged, "Your withdrawal just killed our funding." I was waiting in line at a coffee shop when that first text came through, no punctuation at the end. Like it was either too casual or too urgent to bother finishing. It came from my dad. It's the same man I pulled out of a $400,000 disaster 3 years back when one of his trusted partners disappeared with payroll. The same man who hugged me like I'd saved his life. Now, apparently, I was no longer family. I kept staring at the screen. People behind me were impatient, but I didn't move. My thumb hovered, then I typed, understood. I put the phone away, ordered my coffee, and walked out without waiting for it. It wasn't like a punch in the gut, more like a switch being flipped. Quiet, final, permanent on the drive home. I didn't blast music. I just listened to my own breathing and replayed the last few weeks. Alyssa, my younger sister, had been whispering her way into the family business since coming back from San Diego last fall. Suddenly, she had ideas. Suddenly, she wanted a seat at the table, not to earn, but to inherit. And somehow, she'd managed it. Asterisk, what they didn't realize was that I'd been expecting something like this. I'd been watching Alyssa work her little angles for months. She wasn't sharp, just bold enough to be reckless. The signs started showing when she began questioning my role in meetings. Why does Evelyn always get final say? Maybe we should modernize the way we vote on decisions. It sounded democratic. Fair, it was neither. It was a setup. They had no clue I still held the largest private stake in the new office project, not only in capital, but in the design itself. I was the one who signed off on the core engineering plan. Without me, those permits were just ink on paper. So the moment I pulled into my driveway, I called Mark, my advisor. Pull everything, I said. Every cent from the west side. Development. Shifted to the midtown renovation we discussed last week. Move fast. Within hours, the wires were in motion. 2 days later, the site froze. Workers sent home. Bank withdrew the loan. Permits expire. And just like that, my father's crown jewels slammed into a wall. That night, my mom came to my condo. I didn't open the door. I just watched her on the security camera. She stood outside for 10 minutes, then left an hour. Later, she texted, "I don't know what you're doing, but you're hurting everyone." I didn't reply the next morning. Andrew, my older brother, sent a string of texts like a toddler had smashed the keyboard, followed by one that finally made sense. "Alyssa showed us your message. We know you planned to cut us out once. The building went up. That stopped me. I never sent a message like that. And in that instant, I knew she'd faked it." Alyssa had actually forged a screenshot of a conversation that never happened. They didn't even ask me. They didn't. Check. They just believed her. Do you want me to roll straight into the next section with the developer's reaction and the first big ripple effect? That's where the momentum really builds. Asterisk, that afternoon, the lead developer, Dan Myers, a guy I'd once gone on vacation with, messaged me in a panic. "Your withdrawal just killed our funding. Without you, the anchor tenant is pulling out." I waited an hour before answering. My father said I should stay out of the family, so I did. No emojis, no punctuation. It's just facts. I could almost hear the glass shattering in their world, and I hadn't even started. The quiet was the loudest part. After I sent that message, everything went silent. Not the kind of silence that comes from anger. This was heavier. A kind where it feels like a room has been cleared out and no one bothered to close the door behind them. No calls, no emails. Not even the group chat updates about Sunday dinners or board meetings. It was as if I'd been erased. Not blocked, deleted, fine. That gave me time. I met with a lawyer I trusted far outside the family's usual circle. I laid everything out, the text from my father, the forged message, the ownership structure of the project. She read it all, nodded, and confirmed what I already knew. They had no legal case, but emotionally, they were sunk. Pulling my investment set off a chain reaction. Don had been relying on my capital to finalize architectural plans and lock down the loan. Without it, the permits lapsed, early tenants vanished, and because my family had leveraged other assets to secure their share, they were now overexposed, very overexposed. That weekend, I heard through a mutual friend that my father had flown to Miami. Rumor was he was chasing a last-minute private equity deal, the kind with ugly terms and tighter strings than barbed wire. I didn't interfere. Not yet. Instead, I decided to go for the soft spot. My father's pride was stitched into the reputation of his real estate firm, not just the buildings, but the narrative that our family could spot talent, forge partnerships, and breathe life into cities. So I called a journalist I knew from college, someone who still owed me a favor. I pitched a simple story. What happens when a family business turns on itself in the middle of a $50 million development? He loved it. Asterisk, the article ran a few days later. Clean. No names, just the facts. But anyone in our network knew exactly who it was about. It spread fast. My dad tried to spin it, but the damage was already done. His next investor meeting, canceled. Andrew's partners began backing out of smaller side projects. And Alyssa, she vanished from social media. That alone told me everything. That girl lived for Instagram. Then something I didn't expect happened. My mom called again. It's time. She left a voicemail. Evelyn, I don't know what you think happened, but this isn't the way to fix it. We're your family. Your father was just trying to protect what we built. Can't we sit down? That word protect stuck in my head. Protect from what? So I ran a reverse image search on the screenshot Alyssa had shown them. Took me less than 5 minutes to find the original, a Reddit post from 4 years ago. Different names, different context, but identical layout. She had edited it, swapped in my name, and passed it off as proof. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I made another quiet move. I met with the anchor tenant from the now-dead office project. Told them I had another development coming. Online in under a year. Better amenities, stronger finances. I walked them through the plans, offered a 5-year discount. They signed a letter of intent on the spot. I had that letter sent directly to Dan Myers. No message, no explanation. He'd know what it meant. The project they'd tried to build with me, I was building it without them. Still no call from my father. Still no apology. They had wanted me gone from the family, so I stayed gone. And now? They were beginning to realize just how expensive that choice was going to be. Asterisk, 3 weeks after my dad's message. Every day had brought another quiet win. The developer bailed. The bank followed. Contractors stopped taking calls. What was supposed to be their crown jewel was now just a fenced-in patch of dirt. The project sign already sun-faded and flapping in the wind. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but the deal was dead. The only thing that had kept it alive in the first place had been me. Andrew tried scrambling for a lifeline, chasing private investors, calling in old favors, even hinting at repackaging the whole thing through a shell company run by a friend. But word was already out. The family business was fractured, unstable, and sinking. No one wanted their money near it, Alyssa. She'd gone completely off the map. No brunch selfies, no hustle quotes, no Instagram at all. She ghosted the office, ignored internal emails. Then Denise, the firm's accountant, called me late one night. Her voice was low. She'd found that Alyssa drained one of the discretionary accounts last month, the same one used for brand development. It had covered her Mexico trip and $2,000 in networking dinners. She only found out when someone else tried to book a flight on the company card and it got declined. I didn't react. Didn't need to. Instead, I made my next move. There was a narrow lot beside my Midtown development, an old laundromat site that had sat empty for 2 years because of a zoning problem. I bought it above market and pushed the permit through. A week later, I picked up a second permit. With both Parcels. I could expand the project to triple the original footprint. In other words, I was rebuilding the same office tower they'd tried to cut me out of, only bigger, faster, and without them. And they noticed that Friday I showed up to a local charity gala. I hadn't planned to, but a donor dropped out. And I got the invitation. I knew my parents would be there. I was right. My father saw me first, standing with two city officials, drink in hand, pretending to laugh. He stopped mid-smile and just stared. No hello, no nod. Nothing. My mom approached 20 minutes later. Her makeup perfect, but her expression cracked just slightly. She asked if we could talk, said this wasn't how it was supposed to go. I told her I wasn't the one who made that call. She said they thought they were protecting the business. That word again, protecting. They'd never protected me, not once. They hadn't even checked if the screenshot was real. They just believed it. A couple of fake lines of text, and I was the villain. I walked away without another word. The next morning, Dan, the developer, messaged me directly. You're rebuilding it, aren't you? Midtown. We saw the permits. I didn't answer right away. He sent another. Your mother's devastated. Andrew's looking for lawyers. Alyssa's disappeared. You've proved your point. What do you want? I read it twice. What did I want? Just one of them, one to ask me, did you actually say that? Did you really plan to take the business? That never happened. Instead, they cut me out, wrote their own version of events, and expected me to vanish quietly. So I decided it was time to collect that afternoon. I drove to Alyssa's apartment, the Audi Q5 sitting in the driveway. I'd paid for it, handed it to her 6 months ago, after she complained she didn't want to drive a cheap brand anymore. I still had the spare key. Its title was in my name. I didn't knock. Just unlocked it, started the engine, and backed out of the driveway. She came running in slippers, yelling something I didn't bother to hear. I didn't stop an hour later. She texted, seriously? You're taking the car back? I replied, you faked a message to get me cut out of my own family. So yeah, I'm taking the car back. No response. Not even typing dots. By Sunday, I got a call from Travis, a junior partner who noticed more than he let on. She moved back home, he said. Back to my parents' house. The same house that had no room for me a few weeks earlier. I sat on that for a while, thought about the silence, the way they'd let me disappear without a single question. Now, Alyssa was back under their roof, and the truth wasn't so easy to ignore anymore. Asterisk. It happened on a Thursday. I was at the Midtown site walking the perimeter with the contractor when my phone started lighting up 3 missed calls from my mom, then 2 from my dad, then a text from Denise. They know. No explanation. No details. Just that by the time I got to my truck, my dad was calling again. I answered. His voice was tight, like he'd been holding his breath too long. She admitted it, he said. Alyssa. She admitted she faked the texts. Didn't say a word. She said she was scared you'd take everything, that you wouldn't share. She thought cutting you out would make things fairer. He paused. She didn't think it would go this far. I could hear my mom in the background crying, talking over him, saying my name like it was some kind of plea. He went on, we were wrong. All of us. We should have asked you first. We should have asked. I hung up. Not out of anger, out of clarity. That was the first time in my life my dad had ever admitted being wrong to me, and I realized it still didn't change anything. They didn't lose me because of Alyssa's fake messages. They lost me because they believed them without hesitation. Asterisk, I didn't answer another call after that, for the next 2 weeks. The Midtown build moved faster than planned. Crews worked double shifts. Steel framing went up, and my name was on every permit, every order, every invoice. One afternoon, a courier brought me a thick envelope from my parents' lawyer, a formal proposal to reconcile. They wanted, on Midtown, they'd invest, take minority shares, heal the family, and restore the brand. I didn't even open it. I sent it back, marked return to sender. That Friday, I stood across the street from the site, wind cutting through my coat, smell of fresh concrete in the air. The outline of the building was already visible against the winter sky. Alyssa Wood. Passed by in the mornings now, on her way to the temp job Denise told me she'd taken. She never looked up. 3 months later, Midtown opened. Full occupancy within the quarter. City officials cut the ribbon, and a local business journal ran the headline: Youngest developer in Midtown history completes landmark tower. No mention of my family. No mention of the people who thought I was disposable. The same week, I sold the naming rights to a tech firm. With the payout, I bought the old headquarters. My parents still leased cash. The next day, a letter went out there, lease wouldn't be renewed. They had 6 months to vacate. No yelling, no confrontation. It's just business. And for the first time in my life, didn't feel like I was on the outside of my own story. I was the one writing it.